Welcome back. This is Billy with Coach Dooley's List. And once again, if you're enjoying these coaching videos, please like and subscribe to the YouTube page and also follow along on all of our social media platforms. I'm once again here today at Lumpkin County High School with head boys basketball coach Chris Faulkner. And Coach, thank you for taking the time
to meet
with us today.
Glad to be here.
Absolutely. Jump right into it. We
Sure.
talked a little bit off camera. Just tell everybody about your coaching journey.
So mine's a little bit different to lead to where I'm at today. As I told you when we were talking earlier, I spent 26 years total coaching college basketball. And then just in the past, this is my third year here at Lumpkin County High School. But ironically, graduated college in 1993. And my mother was a high school basketball coach. Okay. So I kind of, a lot of males in coaching follow their dad into that. I kind of went the other route. I followed my mother into that. That's cool. And when I graduated college, all I wanted to be was a high school basketball coach, and didn't get a job. You apply for all these teaching jobs and all this, and didn't get a job. And my college coach, Randy Dunn, who we spoke about earlier, offered me a job working as his graduate assistant, and I ended up doing that for 1 year. Things really fell into place for me. The full-time assistant left. And Coach Dunn said, "Hey, man, I know you still haven't finished your master's, but I'll bump you into this full-time job if it's something you want to do." And things kind of took off for me from there. And like I said, the last thing I ever wanted to be was a college basketball coach. I wanted to be a high school basketball coach, but spent most of my career in college. And now things are kind of full circle, and I'm doing a high school job, and couldn't be happier. Really enjoy it here.
That's cool. Where'd your mom coach at?
My mom was at North Hall High School most of her career. She actually coached a few years towards the end of her career here at Lumpkin County High School.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Actually, that's why I got my start at North Hall. I worked in the summer times helping the JV baseball team. And even going back to basketball camp, hopefully you don't remember this, but back in 94, 95 is when we went to camp, and it was overnight camp. And we actually got in trouble with a bunch of our friends but we had put one of the smaller friends into one of the luggages and slid him under a bed. And wouldn't let him out. Right. And then I think it was probably the college players used to work the camp too.
They did, yes, yeah. Well, you're one of many that got in trouble in the dormitories at those camps.
I didn't get caught.
Okay, yeah, that was every camp. Something like that was going on. So.
That camp literally makes me wonder if I want to send my kids. But it was such a great time, so I would definitely send my kids to camp because we had a blast, and Coach Dunn was always did a really good job.
He's a great guy.
Yeah. So, in being in college, so you have a different perspective of trying to build a program and what you want it to be about and stuff. But going from college now coming to high school, what is it what you want your program here to be known for?
So when I first started here a couple of years ago, I felt like I wanted to instill, I've talked to a lot of coaches. I've kind of spent my whole career teaching people how to be good young men through athletics. Yep. So that's really the overarching theme. Now my players may sometimes not get that in the moment, but I think long term that's what you want them to do. You're trying to make them be better men, and really for me, basketball is kind of the vehicle to do that. So to answer your question, when I started here, I wanted to instill in them an attitude of toughness and hard work. I don't know if you've interviewed Coach Webb yet or not. I know he's on your list, but he's got a slogan: "Hard work pays off." And really, not to jump on his slogan, but I think that's what we all try to do is teach these guys accountability, discipline, work ethic, those things. And we really just use the sport to do that. Like I said, in the moment, they may not realize that, but hopefully long term, that's something that these guys realize. And, I'm getting a little bit older. I've done it for a while now. And it's one of the most gratifying things to me, and you've experienced this too, I'm sure, is usually it's about 4 or 5 years after they graduate. These kids walk back in the door and they say, "Coach, I get it. You were right. I understand what you were doing now." And that's, as you know, is extremely gratifying because even the guys that you think, "Oh gosh, this guy doesn't, he doesn't know, he's not getting anything I'm saying." But when those guys walk back in the door and say that, that's why we do it.
Yes. Yeah. No, and those stories are the best. And I try to tell young coaches who are struggling, you're not going to realize those things until 4 or 5 years down the road.
Right.
And my goal with doing these is to let some of the young coaches know, like, hey, not necessarily better days are coming, but, when you run into the kid at Walmart or Kroger or something and they start just getting excited about back in the day and those kind of things. Yeah, those are the best, but especially for the young coaches, it does take a minute sometimes because you don't get that. A lot of 17-year-olds aren't coming to you going, I'm so grateful for you. They are. They just don't, like you said, they don't realize it at that point in time. So, in your days in college and even now in high school, or even going back to, I'm sure you probably spent a lot of time in the gym with your mom.
Sure.
What's one of your favorite coaching stories? Or you can tell multiple if you want.
Well, there are literally hundreds, and I saw one of the questions we were going to talk about with that right there. I remember you mentioned my mom as a, 2 or 3 year old child going to practice with my mom and, crawling all over the gym floor and shooting baskets. And inevitably, if you've ever, I don't know if you have children that when you were there, when you were coaching, she would yell at me to hold the ball while she's talking, and all those things. And then later I become a coach and my 2 sons are at my practice and I'm screaming at them to hold the ball when I'm talking. So, but I'll tell you, and I had the opportunity the past 2 years to coach my own son here at Lumpkin, which was extremely challenging at times, but also extremely rewarding. And again, there's so many stories over the years that, you just go through your mind. But after our season, my son who had played for me, we get beat in the state tournament. We're eliminated. It's all over. We come back to the gym. I'm sticking around, cleaning up the locker room, all this stuff. Just
you never want to go home.
Yeah. It's one of those nights. And
does he ride with you all the time?
Sometimes he would ride with me. Sometimes no. But this particular night, he's kind of hanging around, which is a little bit unusual. He's usually off with his buddies doing whatever. He's kind of hanging around. And as I walk out of the gym, he's kind of walking down the hallway, and I am too. And he says, "Hey, Dad, we had a heck of a run, didn't we?" And gave me a hug. And you just can't put a price tag on that, man. No. I mean, it's just I wouldn't trade all the money in the world for that moment right there. So it's pretty cool.
I love that.
Yeah,
you're killing me right now.
I get a little emotional too.
No, and that's mine are 7 and 11.
Yeah.
And I'm actually about to coach 11-year-old rec basketball and do that. And it's a journey because I was not allowed to coach in the last 2 years. So we've talked and we're going to try it again. So I'm going to ask you this. I didn't tell you I was going to ask because I didn't realize that. What is a piece of advice you would give to somebody who is coaching their own kid?
Oh man, it is very difficult. Probably at times more difficult on the child than on the coach. The best thing that we did is we made a pact, and actually my wife came up with this, that we were not allowed to talk about basketball inside the house. And for the most part, we really adhered to that. Maybe 1 or 2 conversations we had, but for the most part, we said what we wanted to say. We got everything out, and we never brought that inside the home. And I think that helps a lot. Now, there was obviously some evenings where there were some bitter feelings both ways, back and forth to each other, and we didn't speak to each other a whole lot in the home.
So it made it easy.
Yeah. but that really helped us more than anything. It's like, okay, we're gonna separate this, and when we walk inside the house, we're not talking about this anymore. Probably made my wife's life a lot easier too with that right there.
That's probably why she came up with the rules.
Yes, yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
And then going, I did tell you this one, if you did have a younger one, or anybody really, it doesn't have to be young, old, anybody who said, hey, Coach Faulkner, I think I want to be a head coach one day, what piece of advice would you give them?
So I got my first head coaching job when I was 26 years old. And I tell everybody, I don't really know that I know what I'm doing now, but I certainly didn't then. But I thought that I was ready to conquer the world. So the best thing that I could tell younger coaches is, number one, don't take yourself too seriously. I got caught up in too many things, and to be honest with you, did a really, really bad job early on in my career. As I said, I don't know that I do a great job now, but I think I'm better than I was then. I worried about foolish things and silly things, and took myself way too serious, and I guess don't always keep learning.
Yep.
Don't take yourself too seriously. Those would be the biggest things, and just enjoy every minute of it. When I'm kind of on the tail end of this thing now, and I sometimes wish I could go back and start all over again, because I'd have done a lot of things differently. We've got several older coaches here, on our staff, and we all laugh about, I screw it up daily now, even still.
But it takes being a little bit older to be able to admit it,
to realize that. Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
It's funny. We all sit there on Saturday afternoons and watch college football games and say, well, why did he do that? Or why, and we're all the armchair coaches, and hey, we're not stupid. I know those parents and people are sitting in the stands at our game going, what's he doing? And a lot of nights I go home and go, what was I doing? Like, why did I do that? But I think when you're younger, you get all caught up in that. And when you're older, you can kind of not really laugh at yourself, but be like, oh yeah, well that was dumb. Why did I do that? I'll do better next time.
Well, you're still here, so
I hope I can continue to stay here too. So
no, I know you're doing a great job. So something new with Coach, just a little rapid fire.
Okay.
And you don't have to give an explanation, just an answer.
Okay.
Hey, I love going out of town, love going to new places. Where should I go eat in Lumpkin County?
Underground.
Underground.
Yes.
That's a new one. Okay. Yeah. Excellent. All right. If you had a pregame hype song, what would it be?
Aside from the language, something by Kid Rock, probably.
Listen, the last two that I heard from them actually shocked me. So we're going Kid Rock's good, but that is one now I do have to turn off. I get fired up, and then I realize my kids are in the back, and I have to turn it off.
Right.
Who's the best coach you ever coached against?
Best coach I ever coached against. Can I give multiple answers?
Sure.
Okay. So Jim Sanderson, Randy Lambert, Dip Mitras, and Todd Cottrell.
Love it. What's your pregame ritual now?
Try not to throw up because I'm so nervous.
Still?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll be honest with you, the longer that I do this, I didn't tell you this, I was out of coaching for 4 years.
Okay.
And I did not miss the games at all. I still really don't enjoy the games. I love the competitiveness of the games, because we're all got that fire and competitiveness by nature. But I enjoy practice and teaching more than I enjoy the game. So I still, I've done this for 30 years now, and every game I get nauseous before the game. So yeah, I don't know that I have a ritual. I have to go pee a lot. So, and that's just a nervous.
All the nervous habits. That is totally. I get it, because I was the same way. Like I said, it doesn't matter how prepared you are, because you just want to do good for your kids.
Right.
Who's the best player you ever coached against?
Best player I've ever coached against was a kid at Montevallo University named Troran Brown. Actually ended up played an NBA. Was in an NBA camp. Didn't make a roster, but was a really, really good player. Yeah.
Awesome. The big thing behind the website is I'm trying to connect coaches with vendors, really anything that you do. And, coaches a lot of times just think about uniforms, but it could be, your shooting machines, uniforms, could be technology, anything. So who's a vendor you would love to shout out to other coaches that you just love working with?
So Baker Sporting Goods, who has our contract here at Lumpkin County. You do this long enough, you've gone through the whole gamut of every sporting good dealer and reps around, but I'm really pleased with Baker and what they do. I also have a very, very good personal friend named Robbie Haynes, who's with a different sporting goods company out of Knoxville.
Okay.
That and for some reason, I think it's All-Star Sports, maybe. The name left me. I apologize to Robbie for that. But dear friend of mine who little side items and stuff, I try to get him some business as well. So
no, and too, you always got to have multiple, because if they tell you they can't get it, you got to get it. So
right.
I'll get that information from you. Baker's on the website. But
right.
Coach, I've really enjoyed this. I appreciate you taking the time, and best of luck this
All
season.
Right, great, man. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.